Welcome, dear listener, to another mesmerizing journey through the shadowed corridors of history. Tonight, we're diving into a tale that's been twisted by time, rumor, and revolution. A story of mysticism, madness, and murder that still sends chills down spines over a century later. Whether you're curled up by a fire with a hot toddy or drifting off under the stars, thank you for joining me in this quiet exploration. Before we plunge in, I'd love to hear, where are you tuning in from tonight? Is it the dead of night in your corner of the world, or are you catching this as the morning light creeps in? If these whispers of the past help you unwind or spark your curiosity, hit that subscribe button. There's a whole vault of untold stories waiting just for you. But buckle up, because what I'm about to reveal will flip everything you think you know about Grigory Rasputin upside down. Yeah, that Rasputin, the mad monk, the hypnotic healer, the shadowy puppet master behind the fall of the Romanov dynasty. Hollywood's painted him as a demonic sex fiend with wild eyes and supernatural powers, but the real deal? It's a web of political intrigue, royal desperation, and a death so bizarre that modern forensics are still scratching their heads. I'm going to take you deep into the glittering yet crumbling world of Imperial Russia, where a peasant mystic held sway over the last Tsar, where whispers in palace halls could topple empires, and where one man's miracles sparked a chain reaction that ended in bullets, poison, and icy waters. By the time we're done, you'll see not just how Rasputin lived and died, but why his ghost still haunts the history books, and why some say his murder was the spark that ignited the Russian Revolution. Trust me, the evidence we're unpacking tonight, from declassified files to cutting-edge DNA tests, will make you question if the mad monk was really mad, or if he was the sanest guy in a room full of schemers. But before we wade into the vodka-soaked scandals and deadly plots, let's set the stage, because Rasputin didn't just stumble into power, he was born into a Russia teetering on the edge of oblivion. Picture the late 1800s. The Russian Empire stretches from the Baltic Sea to the Pacific, a colossus of snow-swept plains, glittering palaces, and starving peasants. Tsar Alexander III rules with an iron fist, but his son, Nicholas II? He's a soft-spoken guy more suited to family picnics than crushing rebellions. Nicholas ascends the throne in 1894 after his dad's sudden death, and right away, it's clear he's in over his head. Revolutions brewing, workers striking, intellectuals plotting, and the Orthodox Church holding it all together like glue. Enter Grigory Yefimovich Rasputin, born around 1869 in a muddy Siberian village called Pokrovskoye. No birth certificate, folks. That's how remote it was. Rasputin means debauched one or crossroads, depending on who you ask. But young Grigory starts as a rough-and-tumble kid. Horse thief, brawler, ladies' man. Legends say he had a vision as a teen, leading him to wander as a starets, a holy pilgrim. He treks to Mount Athos in Greece, picks up mystical vibes from Orthodox monks, and hones a stare that could melt steel. Back home, he marries Praskovia Dobruvina, has kids, but his real gig? Healing through prayer and hypnosis. Word spreads, this guy's got the touch. Fast forward to 1905. Russia's in chaos. Lost a war to Japan, bloody Sunday massacre where troops gunned down protesters. Nicholas and his German-born wife, Alexandra, are desperate. Their son, Alexei the heir, has hemophilia, a bleeding disorder from Queen Victoria's bloodline. One bump and the kid could bleed out internally. Doctors? Useless. Prayers? Not cutting it. Then, through court ladies, Rasputin gets an intro. He prays over Alexei during a crisis, and bam, the boy stabilizes. Coincidence? Hypnosis calming the kid to reduce stress-induced bleeds? Or something supernatural? Alexandra's hooked. Rasputin's her man of God. Nicholas? Skeptical but desperate. Rasputin's in the palace by 1906, a fish out of water. Dirty boots on marble floors, reeking of garlic and vodka. But those piercing blue eyes? They lock onto you like lasers. He calls the Tsar Papa, and Alexandra Mama. Preaches forgiveness, heals the sick. But here's the shock. Recent psychanalyses suggest he wasn't faking. Hemophilia episodes can be managed with calm. Rasputin used proto-hypnotherapy, talking Alexei through pain, maybe even basic biofeedback. Not magic, but in 1910s Russia, close enough. Yet power corrupts, or attracts enemies. Rasputin gains influence, advises on ministers, church appointments. Rumors fly. He's betting Alexandra, orgies with noble women, black magic. Cartoons show him puppeteering the Tsar. Truth? He did party hard, but evidence from diaries shows Alexandra was faithful, Rasputin more spiritual advisor than seducer. Still, his peasant roots piss off the elite. By 1914, World War I erupts. Russia joins the Allies, but their army's a mess. Millions dead, food shortages. Nicholas takes command at the front, leaving Alexandra and Rasputin running things in Petrograd. Ministers cycle like a revolving door. Rasputin vetoes anyone he dislikes. Whispers of treason. Is he a German spy since Alexandra's from there? Plots brew. Nobles like Prince Felix Yusupov, rich, handsome, married to the Tsar's niece, see Rasputin as the cancer killing Russia. Yusupov, Grand Duke Dmitry Pavlovich, and politician Vladimir Purishkovich hatch a plan. December 16, 1916. Yusupov invites Rasputin to his Moika palace, promising a meet with his wife Irina. Basement setup. Cakes and wine laced with cyanide, enough to kill an elephant. Rasputin eats, drinks, nothing happens. Poison dud or legend. He gets antsy. Yusupov shoots him in the chest. Rasputin falls, but then zombie mode, lunges at Yusupov, growls, "Felix, Felix!" They club him, shoot again, tie him up, dump him in the icy Malaya Nevka River. Body found days later, lungs full of water. He drowned, not died from shots or poison. Freaky, right? But hold on, that's the myth. Modern forensics, game changer. In 2004, British historian Andrew Cook digs into MI6 files. Rasputin was shot 3 times, one close range to the forehead, British .455 Webley bullet. Oswald Rayner, MI6 agent in Petrograd, was at the palace that night. Why? Britain feared Rasputin pushing Russia out of World War I for separate peace with Germany, freeing troops for the Western Front. So, UK helps the hit. Autopsy? Botched or covered up. No poison in stomach, maybe the sugars neutralized cyanide. Bruises suggest beating, but drowning? Lungs had water, but he might have been alive when tossed in. Shocking twist. Rasputin's letters warned the Tsar of assassination attempts, predicted if nobles killed him, the dynasty falls in 2 years. Spot on. Romanovs executed in 1918. Coincidence or curse? Let's unpack the real story layer by layer, because Rasputin's rise and fall isn't just about one mystic. It's the domino that toppled an empire. Enter the world in a blizzard of Siberian snow, in a log cabin where the wind howled like wolves and the nearest neighbor was miles away. Pokrovskoye was no fairy tale village. It was a hardscrabble spot where peasants scratched out a living from frozen earth, and faith in God was as essential as bread. Young Grigory learned early that life was a battle against the cold, against hunger, against the demons that folks said lurked in the forests. Stories from his childhood paint him as a wild child, stealing horses for joy rides, fighting with fists like a barroom brawler, and charming the local girls with a grin that promised trouble. But then came the turning point, the kind that changes a man forever. Legend has it that at 18, after a bender gone wrong, Rasputin had a vision, the Virgin Mary appearing in a dream, telling him to repent and wander. Whether it was divine intervention or a hangover hallucination, he hit the road, becoming a stronach, one of those holy wanderers who crisscrossed Russia seeking enlightenment. He trekked to monasteries, learned from hermits, and absorbed the mystical side of Orthodox Christianity, the icons, the chants, the belief that God spoke through chosen souls. By his mid-20s, Rasputin was back in Pokrovskoye, married to Praskovia, a sturdy woman who bore him 3 kids and put up with his eccentric ways. But he wasn't your average family man. Folks started coming to him for healing.
A sick cow, a broken bone, a troubled mind. Rasputin would lay hands, pray in that deep, rumbling voice, and damn if things didn't improve. Word spread like wildfire across the taiga. He was a starets, a holy elder with God's ear. Cut to St. Petersburg, the glittering capital where the Romanovs ruled from the Winter Palace, a sprawling behemoth of marble and gold overlooking the Neva River. Tsar Nicholas II and Tsarina Alexandra were the picture of royal bliss on the outside. Tall, handsome Nicholas with his neatly trimmed beard, Alexandra with her elegant poise and sad eyes. But behind closed doors, heartbreak. Their 4 daughters were healthy, but Alexei, born in 1904, carried the royal disease, hemophilia. A paper cut could turn deadly, internal bleeding from a fall could kill him. The Tsarina, racked with guilt, it came from her side, turned to faith. Prayers, relics, nothing worked. Entered the court ladies, Anna Vorobova.
Vorobova, Alexandra's confidant, introduces Rasputin in 1905 during a hemophilia episode. The mystic arrives, unkempt, smelling of earth and incense, but those eyes, piercing, hypnotic. He sits by Alexei's bed, tells stories of Siberia, prays softly. The bleeding stops. Alexandra weeps with joy. Our friend has saved him. Nicholas is wary. This peasant in the palace? But results don't lie. Rasputin becomes a fixture. Telegrams flying. The little one is bleeding. Come at once. What was his secret? Modern docs say hypnosis. Rasputin calmed Alexei, reducing stress that worsens bleeds. He advised against aspirin, a blood thinner back then. No miracles, just smart psychology in a pre-Freud era. But in Russia, it looked like magic. Rasputin's influence balloons. He advises on everything. Appoint this minister, he has a good soul. Alexandra hangs on his words, especially when Nicholas is away. Scandals erupt. Newspapers call him the dark force, accuse him of orgies with society dames. Was he? Diaries from women like Munya Golovina show admiration, maybe flirtation, but no proof of affairs with Alexandra. Rasputin partied, sure, vodka, dancing, women, but he preached love and forgiveness, Chlisti style. A sect with ecstatic rituals, but he denied ties. Enemies multiply. Church bishops hate his unorthodox ways. Nobles see him as a threat to their status. By 1912, after surviving a stabbing by a jealous ex-follower, Rasputin is untouchable. Then World War I hits. Russia mobilizes, but their army's outdated. Cavalry versus machine guns. Millions die in trenches. Nicholas heads to the front in 1915, leaving Alexandra regent. Rasputin, her shadow advisor. He pushes pro-peasant policies, anti-war vibes. Rumors. He's German sympathizing, wants peace to save Russia. British intel panics. Russia quitting means Germany crushes the Allies. MI6 stations agents in Petrograd, including Rayner, Yusupav's Oxford pal. Plots thicken. Yusupov, a bisexual dandy with a taste for drama, teams with Dmitri, Tsar's cousin, and Purishkevich, a right-wing firebrand. They lure Rasputin with promises of healing Irina. Basement, Madeira wine, pastries, poisoned. Rasputin chows down, chats, plays guitar. No effect. Yusupov freaks, shoots him. Rasputin roars, chases him upstairs. They shoot again, beat him. Body to the river. But autopsy, suppressed till 1990s. No poison, maybe heat deactivated cyanide. 3 bullets, chest, back, head. The headshot, British caliber. Rayner confessed in memoirs, censored. I fired the final shot. Motive? Stop Rasputin's peace talks. Post-death, Russia unravels. Revolution in 1917, Tsar abdicates. Bolsheviks execute the family in 1918. Rasputin's prophecy? Eerily accurate. Modern twists. 2010, DNA on blood-stained shirt matches Rasputin's descendants.
Forensics say he survived shots, drowned, adrenaline from fear, or MI6 cover. His penis, supposedly preserved in a jar? Fake, per museums. Rasputin's no villain or saint, just a man in the wrong place, with the right eyes. His story? The match that lit the powder keg of revolution.
But let's dig deeper, because the real juice is in the shadows. The whispers in vodka-fueled taverns, the secret cables between London and Petrograd, the royal letters that paint a picture of a family clinging to a mystic like a life raft in a storm. Rasputin's rise wasn't luck. It was a perfect storm of desperation and charisma. Back in 1905, Russia was bleeding. Literally, the Russo-Japanese War had humiliated the empire, with ports lost and fleets sunk. Then Bloody Sunday, peaceful protesters marching to the Winter Palace, gunned down by troops, hundreds dead. Nicholas, dubbed Bloody Nicholas, retreated into his family bubble at Tsarskie Selo, the lavish estate outside the capital. Alexandra, homesick for Germany, threw herself into motherhood and mysticism. Alexei's birth was a miracle after 4 girls, but the hemophilia diagnosis? Devastating. The court was a snake pit. Grand dukes scheming, ministers corrupt. Rasputin, introduced by Montenegrin princesses Militsa and Anastasia, nicknamed the Black Women for their occult leanings, was a breath of Siberian air. His first miracle in 1907. Alexei twists an ankle at Spala. Internal bleeding swells his leg. Doctors say amputation or death. Rasputin telegrams, "Don't let the doctors bother him too much." Bleeding stops. How? Hypnosis via prayer, calming the boy to constrict vessels. Alexandra's faith solidifies. Rasputin is sent by God. He moves to Petrograd, lives in a modest apartment, but the palace is his second home. Kids adore him, calls them by pet names, tells folk tales. But influence creeps. He vetoes a bishop for cold eyes, pushes liberal ministers. Scandals? Oh yeah. 1910 police reports Rasputin at bathhouses with women, boasting conquests. But exiles by the church fail. Tsarina intervenes. Prime Minister Stolypin investigates, warns Nicholas he's destroying the monarchy. 1911. Coincidence? Rasputin predicted it. By 1914, war fever grips Europe. Archduke Franz Ferdinand shot in Sarajevo. Alliances trigger. Russia mobilizes 6 million men, but supply lines fail. Soldiers barefoot, rifles scarce. Casualties mount. Tannenberg disaster, 300,000 dead or captured. Nicholas at headquarters, Alexandra runs home front with Rasputin's input. Our friend says avoid this general, he has bad aura. Ministers resign in protest, calling it ministerial leapfrog. Public rage boils. Posters show Rasputin with devil horns, Alexandra as the German woman. Duma, parliament, demands his removal. Enter the plotters. Yusupov, 29, fabulously wealthy. Yusupov Palace, richer than the Tsars, resents Rasputin's hold on his in-laws. Dmitri, 25, charming but ambitious Grand Duke. Prishikevich, 46, monarchist MP, hating Rasputin's treason. They meet in secret, plan the hit as patriotic duty. British twist, SIS MI6 chief Mansfield Cumming greenlights assistance. Rayner supplies the gun. December 29, old calendar, Rasputin arrives at Moika around midnight, lured by Irina, actually away. Yusupov plays American gramophone records, Yankee Doodle to cover noise. Poison fails, Rasputin asks for tea. Yusupov shoots with a Browning, but Rasputin fights back, strangles attempt. Dmitri shoots, they bind him, river drop. Body found December 19, arms free, broke through ice, lungs waterlogged. Funeral secret, but news leaks, celebrations in streets. But revolution follows. February 1917, bread riots, troops mutiny.
Nicholas abdicates March 2. Provisional government, then Bolshevik October Revolution. Romanovs to Yekaterinburg, shot July 1918. Rasputin's daughter Maria escaped, claimed dad was poisoned, but survived due to stomach issues from alcoholism. Modern view, BBC doc Who Killed Rasputin points to British involvement. Forensic pathologist Derek Pounder, head wound professional, not amateur nobles. Rasputin's curse? Self-fulfilling. His death discredited monarchy, fueled unrest. He wasn't evil incarnate, just a flawed healer in a doomed court. His story warns of how one outsider can unravel an empire, how desperation breeds dependence,
because
and how
Rasputin's
myths
world was a
outlive men.
tapestry of opulence and decay, where crystal chandeliers hung over starving crowds, and holy men wielded more power than generals. Imagine the Winter Palace. 1,500 rooms, gold leaf ceilings, malachite pillars. Nicholas and Alexandra in private apartments, Alexis' room filled with toys but shadowed by fear. Rasputin arrives, crosses himself before icons, kneels by the bed. His voice low and soothing. God will heal you, little one. Alexandra watches, tears streaming. It works again and again. But power's price? Isolation. Rasputin demands loyalty, feuds with court. 1912 letter to Nicholas. If I am killed by common assassins, you will be safe. But if by nobles, your throne crumbles. Pathetic. War years, 1916, 1.7 million Russian dead, inflation skyrockets. Rasputin urges peace. The war is cursed. Alexandra echoes him in letters to Nicholas. Our friend says end it. British embassy alarms. Ambassador Buchanan cables London. Rasputin must go. MI6 steps in. Rayner, fluent Russian, befriends Yusupov. Plot hatched over champagne. Night of. Rasputin suspicious but goes. Maybe sensed fate. Poison. Potassium cyanide and pink cakes. He eats 3, drinks poisoned wine. Why no effect? Theories? Stomach acidity low from booze or sugar binding cyanide. Yusupov panics, fetches revolver. Shot 1. Through heart? Rasputin collapses, then rises. Adrenaline surge. Chases to courtyard. Purishkevich shoots twice. Headshot? Rayner? Body wrapped in curtain, driven to Petrovsky Bridge. Dumped through ice hole. Water, -5 degrees Celsius. Autopsy by Kosarotov. No poison, bullets non-fatal except head. Drowned fighting bonds. But report altered. Tsar orders cover-up. Aftermath? Yusupov exiled but hailed hero. Revolution explodes. Lenin's train from Germany? Another conspiracy? Rasputin's body exhumed by soldiers. Burned to prevent shrine. Daughter Maria's memoir. Father knew death came from England. 2000s forensics. Russian scientists confirm water in lungs, but British bullet. MI6 declassifies. Operation to neutralize peace advocates. Rasputin's legacy? Songs, movies, Rasputin by Boney M. But truth. A peasant who humanized the royals, yet accelerated their doom. In American style, he's the ultimate underdog story gone wrong. A self-made man in a class-bound world, taken down by elites fearing change. His eyes still stare from photos, asking miracle or manipulation. The Mad Monk's mystery indoors, a cautionary tale of faith, power, and the thin line between healer and heretic.
To really grasp the madness, let's walk through Rasputin's daily grind in those fateful years, a mix of saintly devotion and sinful excess that fueled the legends. Mornings, in his Gorokhovaya Street apartment, peasants line up for blessings, nobles sneak in for advice. He'd pray, touch foreheads, dispense wisdom like sin to know God. Afternoons, palace visits, tea with Alexandra, updates on Alexei. Evenings, the wild side. Restaurants like Villa Road, gypsy music, wine flowing. Women? Admirers, yes, but police tales report spiritual meetings. One scandal? 1915, drunk in Moscow, flashes in restaurant, yells, "This is what the Tsarina loves." Exaggerated? Likely. Enemies like Bishop Hermogen try exile, but Rasputin bounces back. 1916, threats mount. He writes will, "If I die, Russia dies." Plot night details from Yusupov's memoir. Embellished. Rasputin in beaver coat. Arrives 12:30 a.m. Chats about enemies. Eats cakes. "You look pale, Felix." Shot at 2:30 a.m. Struggle epic. Rasputin grabs throat, foams. Dumped 4 a.m. Body surfaces, right arm raised like blessing. Funeral at Tsarskaya Selo Chapel. Tsar carries coffin. But unrest boils. Workers strike. Duma defies. February 23, 1917, International Women's Day March turns revolution. Troops join. Nicholas abdicates for self and Alexei. Provisional government arrests royals. October, Bolsheviks storm Winter Palace. Romanovs to Tobolsk, then Yekaterinburg. July 16, 1918, basement execution. Bodies burned, hidden. Rasputin's prophecy fulfilled. Modern echoes? 1991, Romanov remains found. DNA confirmed. Rasputin's? Grave lost, but blood samples match. Conspiracy theories. Was he immortal? No, but resilient. British role confirmed by BBC 2004. Rasputin the villain? Or scapegoat for a failing empire? In American terms, he's the rags to riches guy who crashed the party, only to get booted by the old money crowd. His story's a reminder. In times of crisis, mystics rise, but so do the knives. And in the end, it's the myths that survive. Dancing to that funky beat, Rah Rah Rasputin, lover of the Russian queen.
As we wrap this tale, remember Rasputin's not just history. He's a mirror to our own times, where influencers sway leaders, and one tweet can topple regimes. His death wasn't the end. It was the beginning of a century of upheaval. Thanks for listening. Sweet dreams or intriguing thoughts wherever you are. Subscribe for more and tell me, what's your take on the Mad Monk? Miracle Man or Master Manipulator? Until next time, keep wondering.